Berlin, G2 have a 1-0 lead and can end the series here with a win. It's now blue side for G2. They may look to mix things up, and for NiP, it's a similar story, as they were unable to find the win despite some success in that first game.
It's just so hard to be unhappy if you are NiP after that first game. Like, obviously, you're super sad you didn't win it, but you did a lot of things really well. And then that Elder Drake call with HQ. He sees the blue trinket come down, he ignores it.
That's the only part that I have an issue with.
He stays at the Elder Drake, like...
Because I see it, right? He's like, everyone wants to fight for Baron. We're going to pull the classic Albus Nox Luna. We're just going to sneak a major objective here, but... Because
Prophet was on the way, and maybe they could actually two-man killed it in time, but when you see the blue trinket, you leave. You don't risk because you were actually doing just fine in the game. You did not have to risk everything on that one play.
And that's super rough, right? Because that's the play. Those are the plays that people remember when you're a young player, is mistakes like that. You're the guy who leashed the Elder Dragon down to 30% health for G2.
I saw a lot of people talk about it on Reddit right after the game. And yeah, those are the kind of plays you can't make if you want to take down G2 and if you want to get some wins on the board. Your NiP so far, 0-5 total game score. And that's the problem when you have games like this, where you actually do so many things right, and then you don't end up winning. If G2 comes in now, maybe don't pick full AD, maybe don't give up a kill level 1, and then suddenly you might actually have a game that is much harder for NiP to win.
That one already so difficult, given the difference in the team's experience together. Even if G2 aren't quite as practiced, still absolutely a threat, regardless. And in high spirits, even after the long, slow game. And officially, when I look at this NiP lineup, I think kind of back to Spring and Misfits. And not that they're the same type of team, but that week to week, we saw some clear weaknesses that we thought Misfits could improve on. And it's sort of a similar story for NiP. We see, hey, maybe some risky calls. Hey, maybe some executional errors. And I feel like those are the things that the team can identify and work on.
Yeah. It's hard to predict how quickly a team will improve and how much they will improve. Like, obviously, you're always expecting some sort of growth from teams, but sometimes, and I'm not saying this is the case for NiP, but sometimes the combination of players is just not the right one. They maybe lack a shot caller. Maybe, you know, the way people want to play the game is just very different. Like, we've seen this in the past on a lot of teams. So we can't predict right now if NiP will suddenly, you know, turn around and start taking down a lot of teams in the EU LCS. I think judging from some of the games, we've seen a lot of positives, but then we've also seen some of the negatives. And that's kind of the problem for them. They need to really find the kind of play style where they're actually able to consistently get goal leads and then also close out the games and not risk it all on some of those plays we saw in the last game.
It's interesting, too, because I feel like they've consistently been able to go toe-to-toe in the late game, that they have been one of the teams that's been very successful in finding picks, regardless of who they're against, right? Finding team fights that are favorable to them, even when they're at these massive deficits. So while we can't count them out yet, it's going to be even harder for them in Game 2, and we're going to have to see how they adapt. Because we're into the pick ban phase, and G2 banning quick out here. Elise, Thresh, two things that G2 took away last time, already banned out.
Probably Xayah as well, getting removed by G2. They have not shown it yet, banned it on blue side in the past. NiP we're expecting, obviously, things like the Syndra to be removed once again. I was about to say Cannon, but he's already been banned on the side of G2. Teams do not seem to really want to first pick Cannon, but they don't want to leave him open anyway and give him over to the red side.
It just feels like one of those potential counter picks that can be so destructive to a draft.
Oh, definitely. Like, Cannon on his own is super hard to deal with. NiP so far, very standard red side bans, two of the strong blind picks, first picks as well. Syndra is still the one I'm looking at, and there's the Xayah we mentioned before. Clearly a champion. G2 are not interested in first picking at this point, but they don't want to play against it either, because they don't want to play against Xayah and Rakan.
And we've seen how brutal that duo can be, and Rakan, especially in our last series, such a clutch source of engage. Syndra is going to be the ban away, but it does mean that the Galio is up and available, and G2 just going to first pick it.
Yeah, this is a very, very classic pick and ban phase. Like, these 6 picks are banned so often in this current meta, and then things like Galio just becomes the #1 priority because multiple flex options, support, mid, top, just such a strong pick, overall safe pick as well. NiP can still pick the Ashe, as we saw last time, and actually be very happy with that, because they should run utility from the bottom lane. I think it worked well with the engages from HQ, so I want to see the same pick.
And of course, we just can't expect a top laner to be picked and countered to Galio, because we're not sure that the Galio will be there. The nature of this flex pick, as you said, makes it so difficult for NiP to draft favorable matchups. They had the luxury of last pick, though. They had the Lee Sin for Shook, a champion we have seen him be successful on.
Tahm Kench is another one we have to look at with NiP because they found a lot of success on him recently. Even early picking him before. Kalista coming in a little bit out of nowhere.
This has been a pick we've seen get more popular recently, but...
Definitely. True. Normally we get to see her if you have Thresh, or if the enemy team pick Thresh and you pick Kalista and Braum as a combo against it. We've seen Kalista Rakan, Kalista.
Interesting. Maybe a little pocket pick up the sleeves of Spraddle. One last pick in this first phase. Maybe it will be the Rakan coming in, maybe the Braum. Will they round out this bottom lane? They know what they're going up against to a certain degree now.
Yeah.
Sven has got his hands on that Twitch, and once again, it feels like NiP battling against the clock with this Twitch pick if they make it to late game without finding a significant advantage. G2.
Could also be that Kalista Braum, but I think seeing something like Rakan would be super nice from NiP against G2 because it is a pick that can force so many engages, so many fights, and this is a fairly sloppy G2 Esports. Like, they do not seem to be completely on the same page, and there are some macro issues in terms of, you know, how far can you push without getting caught, and that could be a pick for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Obviously, G2 could ban it away now if they actually are afraid of it.
Gangplank banned away. Don't want to expect that pick. They've seen what he can do when you give him on the carry on the top side. The last game in the Fiora, and we've seen it from MSI as well. The Gangplank.
Yeah. They most likely put Galio top against Shen. This is actually the first time we see Profit now here in Europe on a tank, and not the classic carries, which has been somewhat successful, but also somewhat unsuccessful for Profit. Not really been able to leave his mark yet on the EU scene. I think him on Shen. Different style from NiP, a style that tells us they want to play more around either the bot lane or they want Nagne on a split pusher and use the Shen ulti to back him up in the side lane.
You could see Fizz still up and available as one of those potential aggressive mid laners, but Rakan has now been banned out. G2 on the same page with you, Deficio. They saw it, they don't want anything to do with it.
I think it's smart.
The other interesting thing too is that NiP, despite the fact that we are pretty convinced at this point that the Galio can go top lane, still decide to ban out 2 counter matchups to the Shen.
I mean, you have to respect the Perks could take Galio mid, or Mythic could take it support. I think the Braum here with the Kalista is the other combo we talked about that we see quite a bit, because Braum obviously is already a fantastic team fighter. Give him a Kalista ulti, he gets even more value. Laning phase, it's not exactly the sickest kill lane in the world, but that's probably not what Hiku and Spraddle are looking for anyway.
And when we look at this team composition, Deficio, I think we need some more damage here on the side of NiP. So we look across the board on the side of G2. Galio, maybe not the biggest source of damage, but you've got a Kha'Zix, you've got a Twitch, you've got a LeBlanc. Now only a Kalista as a reliable damage source on the side of NiP.
They're putting so much focus on Hiku at the moment. It's actually quite scary. I'd like to see Cassiopeia come in from Nagne against this LeBlanc here. Now the matchup is not as bad as it used to be because that Doran's shield is actually really good for LeBlanc, but because you need that damage, because you need the magic damage, I think Cassiopeia would be a good choice. Kassadin is actually another one, so I just hovered it. It is a pick some players around the world are using against LeBlanc, but it's much harder to execute than Cassiopeia. Oh, that's fine. It's okay.
Right.
It's not Cassiopeia, but I'll take it.
Well, if you want damage, it will be there. Orianna rounds it out. Spraddle playing with our hearts with the various hover-overs, getting progressively less exciting. We got, a Heimerdinger. Oh, and then we got a Katarina, but nope. At the end of the day, will be the Orianna, so
it is very much play around the bottom lane. If you are Ninjas in Pyjamas, the one lane I think everyone looked at and said, this is not where the NiP focus will be. It's gonna be Profit, it's gonna be Nagne, it's gonna be Shook on the top side. Some casters even call it the Holy Trinity. They're trying to build that up, and it's not been finding a lot of success so far. So maybe that's why NiP is saying, you know what, guys, let's try. Let's just try and play around bottom side.
And it's early in the season. We have to remember, you're not down and out yet. Even if you lose your first series, of course, NiP want to find a win here, and they're trying something new to do it. But it's going to be rough. Kalista, Braum going up against Twitch and the Lulu. It'll be so easy for the double range champions to bully out in this early laning phase.
Yeah, but if you are playing around bottom side, seeing a Twitch is actually not a bad thing. Like, you're not that afraid of Twitch early on. He is a champion without any sort of dashes as well. If you wanted to just throw the Braum in there straight in his face, like, his stealth no longer really works when you're already on top of him. So there are definitely ways for NiP to try and punish him, but obviously it's pretty obvious. It's like, oh hey, Shen level 6?
Wonder where you're going to go.
I wonder what you're going to try and do. You're maybe going to go bot lane, and that's why maybe a lane swap happens from NiP, sorry, from G2 at that point. But let's see it in game. Definitely want to see a faster game as well compared to the last one.
You have to get excited here. We look at both the lineups. Two exciting compositions locked in, and here it is, folks. We are getting ready for game 2. G2 loading up onto the blue side, NiP on the red. I'm really excited to watch mid lane again, Deficio. I don't think we're going to see the same first blood. Don't think we're going to see the same, quite the same level of surprise on the side of G2 if there is an aggressive level 1 from NiP. But Perkz versus Nagne, all of the focus felt like it was around that mid lane, and now that may change. You're right. But I still feel like maybe there's some potential for action there.
And also Shook, you talked about him, you know, in the last game, 10-0, 0-10. Sometimes you get the insect, sometimes you don't. On Lee Sin is always one of those champions where no matter how Shook's been playing, I always look at this Lee Sin and say, ooh, interesting. This could be a really good one. 2014 Worlds, baby. Perfect gaming, Najim White Shield, Shook Lee Sin. It happened, it was a thing.
You know, it's great because I remember before I came to Europe and European analysts would bring that up, I'm like, okay, just hold on to that. But now that I'm in Europe, I'm like, let's hold on to that forever.
Let's remember that game.
We did it.
And then nothing else happened in that tournament. They actually just showed up and played one game. It was quite interesting.
So crazy that they didn't play any other games, but things happen.
That's the thing. We changed the format after, so that couldn't happen again.
Spraddle throwing out a little casual BM, hand claps.
Wrong skin, though. Come on.
Wrong? You want the snow day. But look at the Skinergy. Look at the color combos. So I know you're not a real color caster. You don't appreciate the little things.
We actually never cast the colors. It's quite an issue.
It's a lot of blue and red.
Oh, Perkz want to get a little Raptor maybe for himself, or is he being a nice guy and just helping his jungler right here? A small Raptor for him would actually help him for early experience, but Perkz is a team player, and he gives all of it over to Trick.
Nagne currently using the ball to try to zone it out. Neither one going to grab a Raptor, so neither one going to have the advantage coming in here for the early level 2. But Nagne playing very forward, burning through a lot of that mana to get the push advantage here. Shatter Orb just consistently used to harass down to make sure that Nagne is not comfortable to keep up this pressure.
And look at Sven, bottom lane, Doran's Blade. It is rare we talk about the early items. He is one of the guys who's still trying to make it work. A lot of other guys just kind of say, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to go Doran Shield, I'm not going to risk anything. I saw Sven on his stream actually do the same, just test it out. And I think if you have the range support with you, and you're not afraid of the enemy poke, because it's a Kalista, you're not really afraid of her poke, then I think it's actually good to run Doran's Blade, because the HP is the same. So if you get all in, it's basically the same if you have Doran's Blade or Doran's Shield.
Things look really good right now for G2. They're pushing in hard on the bottom side of the map, using the range advantage they have. We look at the top side as well. Galio keeping up the pressure against the Shen. But of course, the one point where G2 are not winning out in terms of pressure is that mid lane. Nagne providing so much here on that Orianna, making sure that Perkz not comfortable in these early levels. Of course, I mean, you can't really expect the LeBlanc to be comfortable at this point. We're waiting kind of for that level 6.
Oh, you don't want the level 3 all in from Perkz?
No, I don't think.
I'm kind of hoping we get something like that.
Into the creep wave, Deficio?
Why not? Who cares about the creeps? We nerfed that damage like, I don't know, 3 years ago?
4 years ago, 5 years ago
something
now?
Something like that. I'm sure there was a nerf somewhere. No one can actually say we were wrong.
For those of you who weren't around in the early days of League of Legends, caster minions used to just destroy you. If you ever auto-attacked a champion, you died. It's just bad. Just bad. Bad times.
Because it's still important, but then think back to back then, how it could actually win.
We don't even know what year it is.
I don't know. If someone really cares, they can find the patch where it happened, but otherwise people can just believe us. We would never lie.
Well.
You know what I realized with Twitch? Play-by-play casters, they were so mad when Spray and Pray got changed to Ratatata.
Yeah.
And now it's changed back. They're actually saying Ratatata.
Well, it's really hard. You gotta bear with us. It took us 2 years to get it down that it was Rat-a-tat-tat. After like repeated comments on social media, it's Rat-a-tat-tat now. Like, okay, guys, we got it now. And they're like, oh, it's Spray and Pray again. It's playing with our hearts.
I think that was the biggest buff to Twitch, was actually renaming his ulti back to Spray and Pray.
I mean, you can see how it's affecting the laning phase, but that laning phase not quite as important. Trick leaping in. Spirit's Refuge buying Prophet a little bit of time, but good damage goes down. Justice Punch not going to connect. Prophet does burn the flash, but holds on. Shook here for a potential counter gank. Trick has to respect the Lee Sin here. Doesn't know he's there. Leaps in, gets the advantage. Trick's going to have to leap out to safety or burn the flash. There is no way he can win this duel. Going to back off in the end, but Shook taking control on the top side. However, not really going to mean too much.
Always a good thing, though, if you get a little early advantage, but sadly, as you highlighted, for Shook, it just means Trick is back in base anyway, and he needs to go back out and take his bot side camps. No real harm done here. Want to get level 6 on a lot of different champions in this game, actually, before we really start getting cool action. You know, you want Shen level 6, you want Lee Sin level 6, you want Kalista level 6, like all three on the side of NiP are actually needed.
Twitch level 6, G2 desperately want Lulu level 6 to keep them alive for the Kalista level 6. It is a race right now in terms of XP.
Obviously, we know Shen is going to hit it first. Galio cannot follow to the bottom lane unless TP is ready, but expect use it back to base. Meaning, NiP, if they can make a play on bottom side with Shen, they have an opening. Normally, though, you also need the mid laner to move, which means Nagne needs to get a push mid. He has it right now, and then he needs to start moving down with Shook to the bottom side, and then maybe you can force that 5-man play. It's actually harder setup than people expect. It's not just random all-in into a Shen ulti.
Has to be ready, but Trick is ready. He sees the level 6 on the Shen coming. Expect has communicated it to the team, and that means he knows it's time to be around the bottom side. He is not going to give NiP the chance.
But Trick being on bottom side is just purely backup for G2 at the moment, because they know, as you highlighted with the Shen ulti, that there's a chance, but Trick is not really going to try and go for a crazy gank, because then Shen ulti comes in defensively and he might die. So this is just G2. They want to push out the lane. They're in a really bad spot right now, because they're so overextended. As soon as they push the lane, though, and actually get all the way into tower, which is what Sven is doing here, then now they have to be careful.
That said, the laning phase still going very much in their favor. The farm is even, but look at that. Still a health pot up and available for the man who bought the Doran's Blade. Both of the pots from the Doran's Shield purchase are already gone.
And
now
Shook overextended.
A little bit more. 2 stacks, looking for 3 on the concussive blows. Flash forward, going to try to hand deliver the Shen. Sven with a fancy footwork is going to walk it out. He's stealth up. Exhaust does go down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stunned up. Taken out. Not quite. Prophet going to grab it in the end. And Perks is trying to get something back. EQ in trouble. Shatter Orb going to crush him, tear him to pieces. Trick now on the way in, leaps in, trying to get the auto attack onto Spartle. He's backing. Oh! Unbreakable! Double kill comes in for Perks as he tries to turn it back. Happy to just cast out the kick
but
and finish it out.
We talked about it. It's so greedy by G2 when they get the wave into the tower. Just go back. You've done your job. Your jungler was even there to help you push in the wave. And then they actually stayed and got a few hits on the tower. Trick left. And obviously then Shook can go for the easiest gank of his life with the Shen ulti here. G2's bot lane, so greedy. And they get punched for it. Just as well to say, it's actually not that easy just to set up a Shen play bot lane. G2 just made it easy for NiP to make this little Shen ulti and get some kills.
At the end of the day, they are able to recover a decent amount. Perks finally able to grab a kill for himself, but it does mean giving up his own life. Missing out on so many creep kills in the mid lane as Nagne pushes forward, and that all that advantage starts to get balanced out by the difference in CS in the mid lane.
And mid lane tower right now for G2 is down to about 30% HP, because Nagne was just sitting and auto-attacking the mid lane tower, while Perks obviously was busy in the bottom lane. NiP just got a huge advantage from this, and potentially even more very soon if they can actually take down mid tower based on G2's bot lane, not just going back after getting the wave into tower.
And we look at the early laning advantage that was present for the side of G2. The advantage in these health trades and the push, not going to be nearly as easy to get those advantages now, because you are past the point where Kalista has to be scared of you. She throws in that Braum, and you are the one who has to back off.
And that's the thing, once Prophet's ulti is ready again, no flash on Sven. That was also used in that fight before. That means you have a very easy engage if you are NiP with that Shen ulti soon. And that stops G2 from actually pushing really past the river in the 2v2 lane.
And we saw, even with the coordination issues that we may see on NiP, they are not ones who struggle to coordinate that CC to keep a target locked down. It'd be very difficult for Minty to protect Sven if he becomes the focus. And there's so many options available for G2 if they want to keep the ball rolling. And Shook, he's got a goal in sight as he heads into the bottom lane. Trick nowhere to be found. Shook, he walks to the next bush. Pull forward.
Onto Twitch.
Sven,
that's a
looking
kill.
for a little bit more. It's going to be too easy. Knocked forward, stunned up. The chain CC just comes in. Out comes the ultimate as well. Glacial Fissure, but it's just too easy for NiP.
But you got a few hits on that tower before, though, so kind of worth it, I guess, despite the fact you then died to Shen ulti, used your flash, and now Easy gank from NiP with the Kalista level 6.
I sense a little bit of sarcasm there to Fischio.
Just a tiny bit. When you play against Shen, those are the things you always have to think about. NiP are finding ways to get big gold advantages now. Bot lane tower will die. Mid lane tower is already low. And NiP's composition can keep forcing fights with the Braum.
And here's the thing, last time we saw NiP start to get a lead, it was with a comp that was going to get outscaled pretty reliably, but right now they have such a massive lead early, that may not be a factor. And we can look at this again, but just not enough.
There's nothing you can do once you lost that flash as Sven in the bottom lane. Either you sit in your tower and lose all the farm, or you risk getting ganked like this. It could have been Shook, could have been Prophet. NiP, very good. They're actually going straight down to that bottom lane and going for the kill. Now, top lane is where they should go with the dual lane. PQ and Sprottle should just look for another play like this.
Ocean Drake looks like it will be traded for Rift Herald here, Shook. Deciding he wants to back off in the end. Nope, deciding he wants to continue it as they do get sight briefly from the pit onto Trick. Is going to be able to grab this in the end. That is the Herald now trapped. Good damage comes in. Perk's trying to survive. Nogne now in trouble. He's going to back off. Change will lock him up. Flash forward onto Expect, but a little bit of a miscommunication because the LeBlanc is backing off. However, the rest of G2 is here. Neither side looking to take a fight. Both teams backing out, but NiP still with a decent lead for themselves.
Still with the tools to force another one. Prophet, though, use that ulti in the mid lane. It's Shook we're looking at to maybe join the bottom lane once again if Sven and Mithy are going up to take the 2v2. Flash, few seconds away from Sven. Very important thing to track against Kalista.
Already been punished once on this cooldown cycle. Already punished him once without flash. This time should be able to get out. But survival is not normally what we expect from G2. They're not normally the team that just needs to hold on in the laning phase. We expect so much more. But NiP, you have to give them credit. They saw their win condition, they played to it, and G2 just did not give them the respect.
100% correct. Now Sven, flash available. You can still throw in Braum to try and force the flash if Shook is on top side. He's on his way now. Obviously meaning, once again, if Sven is slightly overextended, he's going to be a target. But you can see how far back Mithy is. Mithy knows he doesn't want to be the guy getting engaged on. He just wants to sit and pop every shield and ulti he has on to Sven to keep him alive. The good thing though is when you play an AD carry that goes Blade the Rune King, like even if you go down in lane, the build path is just so good because there's so many cheap items.
And it keeps you safe. You get the Vamp Scepter, so you are a little bit more likely to survive. But for now, Perk's being punished for the lack of wave clear. Nogne threatening with the ball, ready to go in at a moment's notice. That's another tower dropping for NiP. And things just look so good for this team right now.
Even better than last game, actually. At this point, it was still fairly even. I think even G2 maybe were slightly ahead. And now it's NiP with the advantage. And playing around the bottom lane so far, been successful. Yeah, that was game one. So as you can see, the mid game in favor of G2. Not looking to be the same in this game here.
And back and forth for a little bit there, for sure. But this time, a much more explosive early game coming in from the side of NiP.
They might try and dive onto Sven here.
Not going to spot him out quite yet. Sven walking up for the creep wave. They have no vision.
No, they pinged out. No, never mind. That is a control ward here.
Oh,
on because now
Pierce
they see them.
He fails to get over the wall, unfortunately.
Oh, now it's almost getting too obvious.
3 for 3.
There's TP on Expect. Expect is moving as well. He's in the brush, making sure he can TP away. They waited too long.
Good on NiP though, they back off. They don't take a risky fight. So Sprottle has to be safe here. No Fate's Call going to be used. NiP going to walk away unscathed despite what could have turned against them. And now, Herald has been summoned.
Interesting placement right here from G2. Obviously with the wave coming, they might be able to take down tower, but you can see all of NiP already on the way.
Ooh, just using that upfront damage to burn it down. So it will just be the free tower pickup for G2. Minimize a bit of that gold difference. EQ taking his time here. Of course, vulnerable to CC once it's been resummoned, so pretty easy to kill it.
Yeah. And we can't really blame G2 for just saying, we just want top tower. That's all we're looking for. We know we're not going to get anything else. We just want the tower down. Then we can actually start getting some gold in the bags. And we can get Sven out of this lane here. So Sven has actually stayed safe after his 2 deaths on the bottom lane.
And things are going just fine for him as well. We look at the CS, still very much even. Has the Blade of the Rune King completed as well. As you mentioned, easy build path makes it easy to stay on track for the completion of that first item.
Also one of the best items when you do complete it as a first item. So just a lot of reasons to still go Blade despite the nerfs on 7-11. Not big enough.
Yeah, just one of those items. Gives you AD, gives you lifesteal, gives you attack speed, makes it easier for you to get in and out of any scenario.
Nice little active in the early game as well when your damage is not quite insane.
I like it. I'll be honest, I think it's really nice for AD carries, especially in solo queue, to have a one-item purchase where they can feel strong, but still have to give the respect over to HeQ. We haven't seen what his purchase will be with the lead he's able to amass. May just look for the Runans next and just start to be able to dish out so much damage in the team fights. Maybe playing with fire here.
Sven playing with fire.
Straddle maybe actually the one who could be in trouble here. They're going all in on the engage. Oh, the fail flash for Sven. That's not what G2 needed.
Dies, uses flash right into the wall. NiP once again getting everything they're looking for. Perkz gets a blast cone. Small price, I guess.
Does not want to play with that one. Does not want to leap in and then get knocked back into the waiting arms of NiP. But now wants to leap forward, look for a little bit of a trade onto Nagne. Wild Growth has been used. Out comes the Galio. Perkz pulled back in, but safe in the arms of Expect. Prophet hungry for a little bit of action here. He's going to keep pushing forward. Look at the mini-map. The rest of NiP are on the way. Mithy taking so much damage. Pick's going to help out, though. Provide the shields. G2 just backing off. Perkz shook. A lot of risky movements here coming in.
Not sure about that ulti from Expect. Like, that was very early he jumped into that mid lane, and Nagne was already back at his tower with barrier as well. Like, look at this. Okay, bot lane fight first. Twitch against Shen ulti and Braum. I like the engagement Spraddle.
Not so much the flash from Sven.
Not so much the flash. If you feel like you're too far away, and you're like just, oh, maybe I'm close enough, sometimes you save it. Because like, where are you going to go after? Like, now you're stuck in the Dragon Pit. And you're not really getting out from that one either.
The stealth, a little bit of movement speed steroid, definitely holding on to hope there for Sven, but does not work out. And Deficio, we're at that terrifying position once again. We have underfed Twitch, no flash.
Yeah, you're at that point.
The man who's supposed to protect him, no flash.
Kalista ulti is ready. Shook's ulti and flash is ready. Kick flash is super good here. Expecting for something.
Looking for the taunt. Spraddle potentially in trouble. Fade's Call still not used, however. Spraddle just going to be able to back away, crack a couple pots, a couple charges of the refillable potion. Heal right back up. However, the gold lead has been maintaining for NiP. They haven't been able to get anything else outside of that pick since the early game.
Prophet is top lane right now against Perkz. Hard for Perkz to take him down, and Prophet is just waiting for cooldowns at this moment. Perkz with TP though, and that's important in case a dragon fight does break out. Problem for G2 is they can't really go in and face check without flashes on these two guys, Sven and Mithy. They're so afraid of the engage, for good reason. Should have been afraid earlier in the game, but they disrespected that part, and then they find themselves down now, 2k gold.
It's the deficit they built for themselves. NiP more than happy to take the opportunities given to them. Now NiP just setting their sights on a second Mountain Drake, or Ocean Drake rather. Kalista makes it all too easy to secure that one. No chance for the Kazakhs to contest against the power of that Rend. And at this point, they're just lucky that it's double Ocean, if we're honest, on the side of G2. Of course, I mean, Spraddle will heal up to full here, but against the Kalista, against the Orianna, you really don't want a mountain where it can make it easier for a Kalista to take Baron.
I mean, that's the thing, you know, you see some situations where Ocean Drake kind of helps, but I agree, like, once the laning phase is over, it kind of feels bad, man, when you have Oceans, because
how often do you go into exchanges with 50% health anyway,
I mean, that's the thing, right? It's good if you, like, have a fight into a Baron play, and it's like, oh, look, we're getting HP back. But the problem with it is just, it could have been something else. That really is the big problem. I feel like that's where you feel the impact of Cloud Drake maybe more because of the movement speed, but so often you just kind of go like, why is this not an Infernal? Why is this not a Mountain Drake? Because no matter what you say, having triple Infernal or Mountain is just superior to triple Ocean.
Definitely the case. But now we keep our eyes on the mid lane. Shen ult used defensively. That means no engage going to come in. Sven still alive and healthy on the back side. It's a good exchange for G2, however.
Yeah, first time we see G2 try and force a play. As a team here, flashes are getting ready again from Sven. And G2 probably calling, just like last time, saying, guys, just wait. We need items on Sven. Then he can still try and carry some of these late game fights here. Perkz as well is 2-1 on the LeBlanc, so it's not terrible for G2, but they've just not made it easy for themselves, and that's kind of the thing. in a game like this, and NiP with the tools to keep forcing, but Flash is down from Heat Q.
Equally important, and Sven's about to get his Flash back up as well, so things do not get easier from here. Sven goes into stealth just to be ready for a fight if anyone was to break out. Bit of an awkward spot we're in, Deficio. G2 maybe want to force a fight while a lot of those cooldowns are gone. Fate's Call, the Shen ultimate, but without the Kha'Zix leaping in or the LeBlanc leaping in, Expect really has no tools to get to that back line.
No, on this point also, it's like, just be near Sven. You know he's going to get jumped at some point. Perkz taking a Shockwave. Doesn't really matter, he walks away. The item on Galio, some people might look at it and be like, what on earth is that? Obviously in 7-11, I think the icon actually got updated.
Yep, Abyssal Mask now.
Abyssal Mask. Basically Abyssal Scepter, just Abyssal Mask.
It didn't really make sense to have a defensive item that was a stick, you know?
Can you not be defensive with the stick?
I mean, you can't... It's not like a shield. You don't protect yourself with a little skull stick.
I don't know, I've seen some movies where you use a stick to protect yourself. Like, do you protect yourself with a mask like that? That looks kind of scary.
That's the plan, man. Well, leaping forward, Sprado going to get taken out. He's distracted by masks to focus on that one, and all too easy for G2 to pick it up, because without a Fate's Call present, Sprado very vulnerable.
And in all seriousness, it's actually a good item here. I really like it on Galio when you have AP mids. Does help when you're in there, the backline, and the aura there kind of helps the rest of your damage dealers. Even maybe Mythi's insane glitter lands. Getting a small little...
It's the little things that matter in those teamfights, the little
tiny
exchanges.
Things.
But of course, when you have a LeBlanc who's trying to burst down an Orianna, who's already built Merc Treads, who's already built a Banshee's Veil as the first few items, definitely want that extra damage.
Quite a problem though for NiP that they can't actually stop Perkz in the side lane. He has TP. If you move Orianna up there, she can't leave the lane again. She gets pushed into the tower due to the extra mobility of Perkz to kind of force her and engage out in the long lane. So right now, if you're NiP, like, your play is actually not to try and kill Perkz. It should be to just force mid. Force a mid-engage, especially because Sven was sitting without Flash for quite a while. Force mid-engage so that Perkz is forced to then go down to join the fight, TP in, roam down, or he stops pushing because you've taken over mid-control. That's always how 4-1 comes, stop 1-3-1. It's mid-control. But NiP, they lost it with that fight earlier, and then now with Spraddle dying. See Nagne? He agrees. Push in mid. Suddenly, Perkz can't actually safely go side lane, and you stop the third lane for pushing.
Well, it's interesting, too, because one of the vulnerabilities of this G2 composition is that outside of the Galio, they don't really have safe wave clear. Perkz has to be willing to leap forward to kill these minions. Twitch has to be willing to burn that ultimate to clear minion waves safely. So it is a vulnerability if NiP can exploit it. And
the next step when you have taken mid control for NiP is then take over top side in terms of vision, near the Baron, enemy blue buff, and then you can always see Perkz when he's about to push, and you can actually go up and gank him. He won't have vision in the river if you are playing it correctly, and Perkz can't then push past the river, because then he might actually get ganked without knowing what's hitting him. So Perkz is giving up top side for now, find something on the bottom lane, and it becomes the same kind of game as last time, where it actually comes down to G2 trying to buy time for Sven to get items through split pushing, and NiP trying to stop the split push, but they don't have the time Kench as last time. That's why they are relying on the mid lane control, which they have not been really playing towards for the last few minutes.
It's very difficult for them to get it, too, against a team like G2. We're just going to outmaneuver you on the map. PQ does burn the heal in the end. Spray and pray, not rat-a-tat-tat coming out.
Yes!
You don't understand how passionate he was about that? Because you never brought it up on Caso when Twitch got picked.
It's actually true.
You were really upset about that. We've talked about it so many times.
When they changed it?
When they changed it to rat-tat-tat, you're like, this is terrible. Every time we'd play bottom lane and you would pick Twitch, you would complain about that.
I was actually convinced it was one of the worst changes we ever made to the game. Because it made so much sense.
Release Xin Zhao, release Vladimir, release Garen, Twitch name change.
I remember releasing Xin Zhao. I can say with confidence, I was one of the only players to pick him on release and lose. I literally lost with that champion on release. When you could basically 2-shot, 3-shot almost anything in the game.
Pretty on par with the rest of your league career?
More or less, except I stopped using OPs. I only picked things that...
Balanced champions.
That was super balanced, like Nami, super balanced.
This is so... I mean, I don't remember Nami at that time. I can't remember.
She's basically like Nami now. There's nothing different about her. She's exactly the same champion.
I meant like in terms of strength, but definitely fair. Same kit.
Yeah, except back then you would max E, and your laning phase was actually not that strong. It was really bad. People were dumb. Anyway,
Trick leaps forward, Perkz trying to leap in. Palo TQ, so much damage from the LeBlanc, and now NiP are on the back foot in this fight. Expect leaping forward. There is Sven. Where is the spray and pray? Does burn it out. So much damage. Spirit's Refuge buys a bit of time, denies the Twitch for now. Nagne pulls it back, but does not connect on the shockwave. That's going to be the 3-man top moving in for Expect. Trick is running forward. He sees his brother in arms, and he wants a bit more blood, but NiP only going to lose one here.
Once again, NiP are just sitting really far back, and they're actually allowing G2 to have control of the map. The one opportunity we saw earlier where Sven sat without a flash was not used, and now G2 Esports are getting this town. This is despite G2 being down early on, 0-3 AD carry before this fight. And yet they are controlling the game through Perkz and his split pushing.
And this is kind of what we've come to expect from G2. They are tenacious, they do survive, and on the side of NiP, we're seeing this continuous weakness.
Because this is just Perkz going from top lane into mid to join for the fight for mid lane control, and HQ obviously being completely out of control right there, ends up going down, and Sven does open up, but obviously because of the tower, G2 can't really get much more. Despite Expect, probably yelling, believe me.
And so close to being disastrous there with Spirit's Refuge, save NiP. Maybe if the Shockwave connects, NiP can get something back, but definitely losing control. This was a team that built a lead on early game plays. It outplayed G2 in the early game, but it is all falling apart now.
So they're still even in gold, and we keep highlighting Sven, keep highlighting how NiP should try and find that pick onto him. They do have a good chance now. Get top lane tower. Shook's flash kick is still available. We have not seen this Lee Sin do a whole lot in the mid game. This is the moment, man. This is the moment. Just find Sven in the mid lane, kill him, take control, and then go towards Baron. That is literally the way to play now.
Yeah,
if you're NiP.
You have Kalista. You can secure it. There is no smite that can beat out the Ren damage, but NiP have to find that opportunity to Fischio, and it's just... You can't put it all on Shook as well. The team just has not been coordinating on the same level. Now that they've left the laning phase, they look a little bit lost.
Yeah, you can also use Spraddle, obviously with the Kalista ult. Straight focus on pushing down mid. Camera on Sven, and camera on Shook or Spraddle. Then we see Expect.
You're not in charge of them, Fischio. You know that, right? No, leap forward. It's not.
They knew Expect would be the target.
Moving in, Shook taunted up. Expect not going to let that Lee Sin find and engage. And the Banshee's Veils coming out make this quite difficult for Shook as he takes so much damage from that LeBlanc.
And the Perkz is getting some revenge in this game here. He's been split pushing, not really caught out. He's actually been able to deal a ton of damage just from the side. And he's once again stopping NiP from really getting any control because they push once and then they leave.
And NiP walking across wards, not able to secure vision in their own jungle, means Perkz can just walk up and clear all of this out. He knows he's safe because of that ward you see on the right side of your screen.
And you're forced to go back to base now, get new control wards if you're NiP, otherwise you can't actually play around Baron. So it's very hard for them to actually get the full control due to not having a guy who's responding to Perkz and then not forcing the play on the Baron itself.
And we have to praise G2. They saw the weakness. They say, hey, if we get picked off, we know that this team can just delete Sven if they get the opportunity. But by putting NiP on the back foot, they never get to use the Shadow how they want to. They never get to use the Fate's Call how they want to.
And that last fight, Sven actually just instantly popped stealth, sat super far back behind Expect, and been like, I'm not going to even move forward. Perkz is doing it again, though.
Just constantly weakening Shook as well. Whatever engage tools they have, not going to get the opportunity to use them, but here comes Sven, Unbreakable, already burned early. Not even for the spray and pray.
Shook is sitting so far back as well here. Not actually a threat.
And this is... Oh, that's the LeBlanc clone used as the engage. Haven't seen that trick in a while. They're now leaping forward for a little bit more. Shenhold has been used. Perkz still alive. Sven's still alive. Expect in the front lines, but he's getting chunked down quite quickly. G2, where is the re-engage? A leap in from Perkz, trying to get a little bit of something down. Knock up, nice disengage from NiP. Good damage coming in. Oh, you cannot miss out on that Twitch. Double kill comes in. LeBlanc backing him up. Absolute dominance coming in for Sven in that fight. That's the triple kill.
Oh, yeah. G2 is waiting and waiting and waiting. Using Expect as the bait, and just when NiP think, okay, maybe we can kill the tank in the front, then Sven opens up in the back. Despite getting hit by the shockwave, it didn't matter. Shields, everything available. And G2 Esports, it's slow, but it's calculated. They know exactly what the win condition is from NiP, and that's why they're just accepting they can't really force plays when they don't have flash. on Sven, or at least aggressive plays. So this one was actually just a very safe team fight with him waiting for such a long time, and then he opens up.
And it's a story of predator versus prey. G2 just weaving around, bobbing and weaving on the outside of the fight, baiting out all of those abilities, all of those skills on the side of NiP, the Shen ultimate, and it just looks so good for them.
Yeah, you can see Sven. Look at Sven here. He's so far away from the actual fight. Pops the stealth, and he's just waiting and waiting and waiting for some of the CC to be used. Exhaust as well. He's not out of stealth yet until now. And at this point, the rest of G2 are already going into the backline to try and stop like a Shook or something from actually getting onto the Twitch. Shook ended up not even using his ulti in that fight because G2 actually set it up perfectly. And then this happens.
That's a big number. I like the little bit of a little golf clap there for Twitch damage. Well, you might want to keep it up because the fights are just going to keep coming, and EQ is now in trouble. Perk's going to look to pop him. All too easy.
Gunblade, baby.
Shoots him in the face with that gunblade trick. Now running forward onto Shook. He is fearless. Where's the kick going back in? Not enough. There's the wild growth. G2 are obliterating NiP. Double for Perks. He wants a taste of it, but Sven gonna deny the triple and keep it going for G2.
Yeah, you got super minions in the mid lane right now. Expect with TP as well. 45 seconds on Nagne, 20 on HQ. They're going straight for the Nexus.
Just have to praise G2. This is a
They're
team
not going straight for the Nexus. They realize 20 seconds on Kalista.
It's okay.
They were actually going. They weren't going straight
I
forward.
believe you, and then they heard you to Fishio and they changed their mind. So it's not your fault. Don't worry.
I was just playing the screen right there because they were running towards it. And then they realized, never mind.
G2 are now auto-attacking the Baron.
Yes, they are. Sprudle is hiding in the brush, trying to do the support Baron steal.
He is sweeping nothing with the control ward. Perks is leaping forward.
Get in there, Sprudle.
Sprudle's now in trouble. Sven waiting over the wall, going to dish out a bit of damage. Throw a Venom cast, but back him up. There's the steal. Not going to happen in the end.
I believed it for a second because Strick didn't actually smite.
Shen ult comes out. Defensive use. Perks just walks away, and it's unfortunate. NiP, things have just fallen apart.
Very defensive use of that Shen ult, fair to say. Come on, you saw that Sprudle steal, didn't you?
I saw it in my heart of hearts, Fishio.
All right, Sven now is feeling pretty confident on a fairly fit Twitch. Opens up on NiP, and as you highlighted, things have fallen apart for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Not able to execute the mid-game against the 1-3-1. Simply are not aggressive enough, I feel like, with some of their tools they had to start fights through the mid lane. It is difficult, though, fair to say.
Definitely just gets harder and harder for this team, but Sprudle...
He's in the brush again.
Undeterred.
This man, he's looking for the play.
Sven, move your hand off the minimap so I can see who's there.
Why do you need the minimap?
I need to know who's there.
Okay, no minimap.
Okay.
It's a Sprudle.
Oh, it's like solo queue. All right. Sven now pushing forward. They're just looking for God, pop! Oh, that's just too much damage. That is a fat Twitch, and he is killing absolutely everyone. It's so easy for G2. That's going to be the quadra kill.
Man, okay, I guess that was a big fight, but I was hyped about Sprudle like sneaking in behind Sven right there. Sadly, he didn't make it in time before the fight was already over.
It's a quadra kill. Twitch just killed 4 people in like the span of 3 seconds.
But that brush play.
Sprudle waited in the bush.
No, but he almost got in there. They want the penta.
This is just disrespectful. G2.
That was actually terrible. They actually can't finish the game right now.
You want to remind people you're the top team. Sometimes you just have a little bit of fun with it. Nagne improving his KDA, courtesy of the G2 lineup.
Is this when NiP makes a sick comeback?
Ocelot is in the audience. That's an ambitious move to just be like, all right, we're going to dive. We're going to dive the fountain. Our boss is here. We're not worried. We want an MSI. We get a freebie.
Or they all have Nagne on the fantasy team. That is also
MSI.
an option.
I feel like they want MSI in my heart. I'm sorry I said that. Obviously, SKT won.
All right, look at Sprudle here. Never mind, look at the fight instead. So,
look at Sven. Just look at the only person who matters right now is Sven.
Spray and pray, baby.
Through the exhaust, Fishio.
That came from the guy who hid behind in the brush.
And to be fair, you kind of want the Braum in front of your team. You kind of want to block the Twitch ult.
That is fair. That is fair. Nice replay here, Nagne with the sick outplays.
You guys wanted to be excited about Nagne. There you go. Triple kill against G2.
No context needed.
Top mid laner.
Oh, look at that. Tons of damage in this game from Nagne as well. Probably 2K came from that little play.
Well, Fishio, what went from a very NiP favored early game into a pretty even mid game is now definitively a G2 favored late game.
And we get the classic frozen mallet on Twitch.
It could still be something else.
Come on, this is Europe. Here we build frozen
Do you remember
mallet.
how hard we fought the frozen mallet? We're like, there's no way this is right. Reckless?
I remember.
Bear with me. Is Reckless the new Kensha?
I mean, in terms of that one, and maybe the picks, but we haven't really seen Tristana from anyone else.
That's true, that's true.
We did see some AD carry cannon from other people, but technically they knew that wasn't allowed. And what happened when they picked it? They actually dropped out of quarterfinals. I'm looking at Splice right here. That is the punishment if you pick AD carry cannon without being reckless.
Look, Spraddle
And
has a
Sneaky
plan.
actually won on it yesterday. Got to give him some credit there.
You do? Absolutely. It's not just Reckless anymore to play the AD cannon.
But that being said, Frozen Mouth third item. I think it makes sense if you're playing the skirmish style. Obviously, this is coming in very late, so at this point, if you're on AD carry, you can basically do whatever you want. You got a lot of your key items. Last Whisper would probably be good here, but still.
Also, we look at the damage threats on the side, and there's no armor here. There's no armor on the damage threats. I see that you're pointing at the armor items. Damage threats. Damage threats, Deficio.
You're saying Shen can't deal damage to you?
I'm saying Shen can, but I think when you press spray and pray, you hit everybody.
I like how you're giving away all my tricks here, how I hide the minimap from you, and I'm pointing at stuff as well. Wrong stuff, to be fair. All the wrong stuff.
It's the challenge mode, Deficio. You like to keep me on my toes. Well.
Last thing on the Frozen Mallet, though.
Yep,
I still think on Tristana, it's probably not the most efficient thing, but if it is a thing that fits your playstyle and you're winning with it, then it's kind of hard to kind of say you should stop doing it. That's another engage on the clone.
Looking onto the back line, Perks goes in, Perks goes out, flash forward from Expects, Perks trying to dish out a little bit of damage, Sven not even in the fight. He's going to turn and set his sights on Shook, who went all alone into that back line. Exhaust comes in, but it may be too little too late. Gargoyle Stone Plate, Taunt not going to connect. Lots of damage coming in from Nagne, but nobody's going to drop. Sven flashes past, and he's going deep. He wants so much more. They're walking it down. They want to give it to him. Spirit's Refuge.
But Spraddle,
just a quad.
Spraddle is just running away.
Give it to him, Sven.
No, he's so far away.
Get it. No,
he's
Sven.
on his way. He's on his way.
He's going.
No, the minions are going to kill him.
No, don't take it away.
The minions are going to kill him.
They want him. He's trying to get himself killed. Taunt comes in. Sven goes for it. No. Unbreakable. He's like, no. He's going to make it. Oh. Hey, we got it, folks.
Sickest penta ever.
Shout out to Spraddle. He held on to the very end.
Man, I thought he was going to die to minions.
I thought for sure he was dead to me. I thought that was a brilliant BM strategy. Save, give the pentakill away. But here we are, folks. Not a lot to say about it. G2 tune up in game 2 and make it look all too easy as they crush the competition, taking down NiP.
And I'm pretty sure we had a double kill from Sven into a triple kill from Sven into a quarter kill from Sven and then the pentakill in the end.
The clean straight coming in.
If he actually had that, that deserves some other crazy name.
I mean, I want to call it a royal flush, but like, you know, if we're using the card, but it's League of Legends.
Oh, new chant? I've not heard that one before.
NiP, still strengths that we're seeing. This time it was early game lead, something we wanted to see. It wasn't just survival in the late game. Progress, it looks like, for this team in terms of improvement.
Yeah.
But not the consistency yet, and definitely not enough to go toe-to-toe with G2, which is not the end of the world, but it is a good sign for G2 to find a win here.
But then next week for NiP, they're playing Rocket, and that's when you need to be 100% ready then. Because one thing is losing to G2 and Fnatic is kind of like whatever, that's expected, but like Rocket is the team you're looking at right now. You're fighting against them in the standings. You need to win that game. Otherwise, you're sitting as the last place team in Group A after the first few weeks.
And then you look at the cross-group play. You got some opportunities to find wins there, but you're waiting for your opponents to lose games as well. And that's just not somewhere you want to be at the end of this first round robin. Really rough if you do not find a single win. And it's way too early to talk about relegation. But when you're a team,
it's always in your mind.
But it's always in your mind, and that pressure just starts to build as you go further and further into the season. So to get some buffers, to get some comfort, to find some wins as a team would be great for the side of NiP.
Yeah, it's a very fair statement to make. Obviously, all the teams in the league, like Rocket and Mysterious Monkeys and Vitality, are looking at the same thing. So a lot of teams down there fighting to avoid the promotion tournament.
Definitely the case. Well, that's going to do it from us here at the Caster Desk. Let's send it over to Shocks in the post-game lobby.
Thank you very much, Dracos. Welcome to the post-game lobby. I am joined by Henning Power of Evil and Stress to wrap up the day. Welcome back, Stress.
Thank you. I feel like I should almost announce him like at Hamburg at this point, but it's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Well, that wasn't any good luck to him, though, so.
I got cursed from him.
Yeah, it was a caster curse. The series that we just saw was G2 wrapping up versus Ninjas in Pyjamas in the second series of the day, and we do want to talk about Game 2 a little bit, and especially about NiP's early game. You guys said, early is when it's going to have to happen, and Henning, you were mentioning that they are drafting to their strengths in that regard.
Yeah, I really love what happened in Game 2 here, because Shook got the Lee Sin, which is a Shook champion, and were able to make things happen. I like that they were drafting according to their strengths, which is in the early game, and getting that early game advantage.
Yeah, I feel like, as you already mentioned, they drafted for the early game and they made plays on the correct lanes. It was needed that Kalista snowballs in the early game against Twitch, because you could see in the late game, Kalista can't do anything against Twitch anymore. Twitch just Ratatatata, or however the spell is called now, Spray and Pray.
Yeah.
There's one shot.
Who knows?
One shot's Kalista, and you just can't do anything. So they got the early lead, which was pretty good.
Yeah, they did, and for G2, it kind of looked a bit like Game 1 it did also. It was a bit scrappy in the beginning. They had to find their form, and again, they put Perks on the side lane and then found the advantage late.
Yeah, there was a long time in this game where you're looking at it and thinking that NiP could actually maybe look to open up enough of a lead to win the game here. Unfortunately for NiP, they are against G2, who in Game 2 always fine-tune themselves, and then the double kill into the triple kill into the quadra kill, and eventually the penta from Sven. It feels...
First pentakill of 2017 in the ELCS. But,
And
it
summer,
was
right?
a bit...
What
No.
a great
Spring as well?
pentakill.
Yeah, spring as well.
Oh, really?
2017, the entire year.
I feel like G2 was still this week warming back up to being on the LCS stage.
yeah.
Game 1s were quite shaky. Game 2s seemed to be a bit better. Obviously, the Fnatic series going to 3 games didn't go their way in the end of all things. But I think with another week under their belt, G2 should be back on form.
Yeah, we'll see how they keep going, and we'll talk about that in a bit. Player of the series was Sven, so congratulations to him. But we are going to go to an interview, which I don't think is player of the series. Let's see.
Thank you very much, Shox. I'm Medic. I am joined by G2's mid laner, Perks. Perks, a great series there against NiP, a great week for you guys as well. NiP seemed a lot stronger in the early game than a lot of people give them credit for. How did it feel to play up against them?
Well, I think they did pretty good early game for what they're a new team. So kudos to them for that. Like, they made some plays, they didn't hesitate. Overall, I'm impressed by how they played. I think our first week wasn't so great though. We just came back and started practicing again as a team. We had like 2 days of practice before Fnatic, and the meta is different compared to MSI. The champion picks priorities are different, and we just need some time to get used to it. So we need maybe like 1 or 2 more weeks before we get back to our form, maybe even more, who knows. But we are taking it slowly, and we're gonna be there.
Interesting that you mention champion picks as well, because your drafts are very different to some of the drafts we see from other teams. You leave Zach open, you leave Kennen open. What's the thinking behind those sort of picks and bans?
Well, we are still not sure if Zach is OP or not.
Okay.
Some games it's OP, some games it's not OP, so we have to see. And Kennen against Fnatic, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I know it's their niche pick, and that they're the only team who played, and they played really, really well with Shen and Kennen, which is their like 2 champs combined. But we didn't really care about it that much, because we think if we play our game perfectly, or not perfectly, but as good as we can, it's not so hard to play against the champs. Even though we lost to the champs like 2 games, I still think, and we think that it should not be a problem. But Fnatic is obviously very good performer on the champs. And overall about the meta, well, I have to figure out like a bit mid meta, because I'm playing another Lucian right now that is I'm not sure how good it is, but I was playing a lot of MSI and I didn't get to play it on stage, and I thought it was really strong. So I'm just trying right now, and it will take me some time also, like a week or 2, to find out the perfect grasp of the meta and be able to perform.
Well, we'll have to wait and see how that Lucian develops across the rest of the split. You talked a little bit about MSI. I was going to ask you, how do you feel that the European LCS actually matches up to international competition at the moment?
Well, it's really hard to say right now, because right now I don't think we are performing as nearly as close as to what our level was in MSI. I think Europe is overall a strong region, obviously second best, that we proved.
It's the best.
So I think the top EU teams can help grow each other and can help bottom teams grow as well. And I think by the time the Worlds come, all 3 of the teams from Europe will be scary to face. I'm sure of that.
I can't wait for it. Final question for you. We saw at the end the whole of G2 sort of banding together to get Sven a pentakill. How did that feel as a team?
We always like not make fun of, but like tease Sven that he doesn't have pentakill, and he's like, I'm sure he's like low-key salty. So we are like just really good teammates and friends. So I felt like in game that I wanted to give him pentakill. I wanted for him to have pentakill. So I was screaming after the first team fight when he got quarter, I was screaming, go mid, Nexus, I have Zonya, and the dive kind of failed, which was like, I'm sorry to NiP, it was BM. It was just in the best intentions for us, or for me, to give my teammate a penta. Yeah. And then the second time, he was going for the end again, but I was like, no, come for penta, come. And then we were like, putting Braum on leash and waiting for Sven to come to get pentakills. So yeah, I hope he's happy now.
I'm sure he will be. First penta of 2017 for him. Thank you very much, Perks, for the interview. We're going to hand it back across towards the post-game lobby. Shox and the guys, take it away.
Thank you so much. Can we give props to a perfect almost interview? Obviously, great job by Medic, but Perks, he's giving credit to the other European teams. He's apologizing to NiP for the slight BM at the end. He's trying to help out his teammates.
There was even
great
a
stuff.
catch on, there was a sound and stopped, and it was all good. It was fine. It was PG-13. No.
Yeah, that's true, actually. No, fantastic. Fantastic to hear from him. And I do think it's also important maybe that he said, hey, we're not going to be perfect, because I feel like it's kind of, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. G2 did great at MSI, and it turned all the haters kind of around with doing well, and now they're expected to immediately be right back on super form. So I think it's kind of good that he owned up and said, hey, it might even take a couple of weeks. I'm not even sure about the mid lane meta per se. So Stress, I think that's kind of a good approach from them as well.
Yeah, and I know that this internally we've been discussing, and I was one of the people that thought that I wanted to see G2 crush NiP today. I wanted to see really convincing games. I think hearing a little bit of that candor that Perks is giving about, hey, I still don't know exactly where things are, but I'm going to try it on the LCS stage against some of the Europeans' best opponents. I think, obviously without a lot of time, it's rough to practice, but I at least, as you said, like to hear that G2 are admitting that. How does that make you feel, though, as a mid laner going against Perks, where he's like, not even I know the matchups, I'm just going to play Lucian?
Well, so first of all, obviously the interview was, I think, really great sportsmanship. I think it was pretty good, and he was really honest in how he was talking about his own picks, how he was trying right now to prepare for the next weeks, and how he's trying to figure out the meta. And for me, I understand now why he, I guess, picks up more the Lucian blind, I guess, as well, instead of like, I would say the better picks, maybe, or like my first options. But now I can kind of like see it from his perspective.
Yeah, it is indeed interesting to see when you talk about your best options. Let's take a look at what you played today, because in our first series of the day, Misfits Gaming, they took the series down against Roccat with 2 strong wins, but also a game 1 power of evil.
Yeah, so game 1, I think we just got outdrafted. They had a really good draft with, I guess, getting the Vladimir into the Victor matchup. They always have priority. And
yeah, we can just see what they did on Rakan. 97% kill participation across 2 games, doing so well on this champion, combined with the Galio as well. There's so much playmaking potential. Speaking of playmaking, we saw both Ignar and Wadid on these hooking champions in game number 2, but in the end, Misfits came out on top power of Evo.
Yeah, second game, we just wanted to get a really strong mid lane matchup, and we kind of knew Betsy's champion pool, so like Casterbay is really strong here against him. So we went for that. They went out really good. They banned last game. And then we aim for our, I guess, MSF-style Shen LeBlanc combination. We really like to play that, and it worked out again.
And game 3, you figured out Betsy's champion pool even more. Buy-in Executioner's calling is the second part of your game. You're like 10 minutes in, I'm doing it. Broken your Vladimir.
Yeah, I actually bought sock boots first, and then I was like, no. I undo it in the shop, and I was like, Executioner.
And this is why you got Player of the Series.
Thank you. Nice.
No. Great performance. Great performance overall. How would you say you're feeling in the summer split? We heard Perks are saying trying to figure out the meta. You seem to have a pretty good grasp of the meta. How do you feel about your performance so far?
I feel like we as a team improve a lot from week to week, but we had I would say a lot of problems in communication, since from Kakao to Maxlo they're literally opposite players. Like Kakao nearly doesn't talk at all, and we kind of played around him. And now it's completely the opposite, with Maxlo playing, I would say, a little bit around us and playing around the laners. So it was really hard at the start to figure out how we practice efficiently, how we improve as a team, how we do the reviews, and we have like a sports psychologist. So it was just a lot of change, and I was actually a little bit scared, because I think that's what you should do in Spring Split and not in Summer Split. But we got these two series wins now against NiP and Rocket. That was really important for us, and I think it's just going to become better from week to week, kind of like, I guess, G2.
Oh, interesting.
So has Maxwell become the loudest voice on the team now? And who was the loudest voice when Kakao was playing?
I think when Kakao was playing, it was mostly everyone just kind of calling a little bit together. And now it's like Maxwell calling the early game more and kind of trying to call when to go for the objective or what we are playing for. And then I guess it's me and Afari calling the lane assignment, and it's just like, I guess, like a routine now, like rhythm. Maxlo starts, then we give informations, we decide for a call, we keep doing that and trying to follow this plan.
You guys have been putting Ignar on Bard a couple of times, which is a little bit more roam heavy, and it does work out. Is Ignar speaking a lot now? Because obviously this is the second split for him, playing with Misfits in the LCS.
He speaks up a lot about, he wants to play the champions his style fits, and his style fits like these engaged champions, these playmaking champions. I think he didn't perform that good on like Karma and Zyra, these champions, but he's really, really good on like Bard, Trash,
Malzahar,
Blitzcrank, Malzahar. He's just a kind of guy, like I would say, like he reminds me a lot of Hilly-sang. He just like, he just goes in and he's really confident. And,
Also, I was giggling because earlier we were speaking about the fact that you sent him in as a lamb to the slaughter in game 1 because he already died 3 times. So you're like, oh, someone needs to check Baron.
We were sorry for him, but it's like, we don't have vision at Baron, so we're like, Ignar, go.
Oh, please.
Let's hope for the best.
Yeah, and in any case, Maxler also is training his mechanics. He has a fidget spinner. I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
annoying.
It's a trend.
Annoying sound, apparently. There was like I think one of the coaches was saying that it's like the constant buzzing sound is a...
Yeah, he said he's not allowed to do that anymore in reviews.
All right. Fidget spinner ban, the first in the LCS.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at the standings, because with that win, Misfits Gaming have earned themselves a lead over Roccat in Group A, and you still find yourselves in the second position, I should say, actually in the third position, under G2, which is, I feel like, a realistic position to be in right now.
Well, yeah, next week we are going to face G2, so I feel like if you improve as much as we did in the last weeks, we can actually win against them, or make it a close series.
Yeah, when you see G2 play today, how does that make you feel before your game against them? Do you feel more confident after watching them versus NiP?
Like obviously, after seeing how they played today, you can obviously say like it makes us a little bit more confident. But now they have like a full week to prepare, and they can figure out new stuff, figure out new styles. It's not like maybe they just had a bad day as well. It's hard to say, but you should always respect them, even like especially after their MSI performance.
Yeah, a lot to prepare. Perks was talking about his grasp on the meta. We also wanted to talk to you a bit more just about the meta in general. We looked at the mid lane priority in EU. Syndra, obviously super contested. Then Galio with a flex, of course, has a 92% big ban rate, but it is probably also in the top lane. We also have LeBlanc, Lucian, and Orianna there. And you were, interestingly enough, talking about how Lucian may be a pick that in Europe only has a 2-4 record in terms of wins and losses. And you think that maybe has something to do with the way we like to play the game here, or in the ULCS, right?
I don't know if it's just like, it's like Galio and Lucian mid lane. These champions, like, if you do a team mistake or you fall behind on these champions, they like become really, really useless or really, really weak compared to other mid laners. And in EU, I feel like as a team, you don't play flawless. There's always like this one throw or something, or like you just do a mistake and they get Baron. And that's why these champions doesn't work out that good in EU. But in LCK, if you see, they play like Galio mid lane, they don't do any single mistake with this champion, and he says the whole game he's just insanely tanky, unkillable, unstoppable.
Yeah.
But in EU, this Galio doesn't work out.
Galio's 0-2 also, 2x9 they said.
Yeah, we see some Galio and Lucian mid place here, and I think it's... Yesterday we talked about the support position opening up with a lot of melee engaged supports. We're also seeing it in the mid lane right now. It used to be a lot of control mages, but now you can play marksman, you can play tanks, you can play assassins, so the mid lane meta is really opening up.
You're playing a lot of Victor alongside that, and a couple of mid laners. Are you worried by some of the mid laners that have a little bit stronger early game actually going up against you? Because you're very freely picking that in phase 2 for Misfits.
The thing is that, especially like Lucian, is a Victor is a good matchup against Lucian because you can freely scale up. It's not like a matchup you're losing into. And you could see that in the NRP against G2. The Lucian, obviously, and he got first blood, and it was even easier for him. But it's a matchup you don't really lose. You just equalize the wave. And I actually prefer to play the Victor matchup than the Lucian matchup. Because as Lucian, you need to make early plays. You need to, I guess, get this early game lead for yourself. Otherwise, at one point, Victor just outskates you really hard. And Victor, in general, is a really, really safe blind pick. And I am someone, I like to mix AD AP damage. So when I see I have 80 top, 80 carry already, I don't want to go for Lucian. But as example, G2 did that.
Yeah, and G2, it has been working out for them somewhat. One other pick that I want to ask you about, we haven't seen you play it yet, Talia. What are your thoughts on the Stoneweaver? Because, again, another LCK pick that if you play flawlessly is very difficult to do.
Yeah, it's the same as Galio and Lucian. Just that even I think she has more bad matchups than the other ones. She has like Kassadin, Katarina.
We saw some, a lot of play in LCK.
Yeah, there's just a lot of like Cassiopeia. There's a lot of counter picks to Talia, but Talia normally always gets early priority. So this champion, I feel like I like it a little bit more than the other ones because you have playmaking potential of the ultimate. You can always get the priority if you play correctly in your laning phase. You can kind of like invade enemy jungler, make plays around invading, and I think it's really, really fun champion.
All right, well, we'll see what we see further, and we'll see what we'll see.
We'll see a lot of things.
We'll see what happens.
Maybe we'll see a lot of things tomorrow.
Hopefully.
We'll see what we see tomorrow, won't we? Let's take a look at the schedule, because H2K and Unicorns of Love are facing off in our second series with a fantastic matchup, and also Splice versus Mysterious Monkeys. So I was gonna say it's all Group B matchups, but that's logical, because today we did Group A, and tomorrow we are back to Group B. So can we get some thoughts maybe? Let's start with Splice versus the Mysterious Monkeys. Splice recently got on the board, but the Mysterious Monkeys have shown a lot of fight, so this might be one that's takeable for them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they showed up in game 2 versus the Unicorns with a lot of strong abusing of mistakes. And if Splice had the solid macro game, but the laners might not be the strongest. So if a player like Coscu can get an advantage of a Senkox in the mid lane, I think it's definitely a winnable game for the Mysterious Monkeys, although Splice are the favorites.
Interesting one for me. I'm casting it tomorrow. It's a challenger throwback, Senkox versus Coscu in the middle lane. It's going to be a great match, but I think everybody's eyes really H2K. Unicorns, the battle for the top spot, Parabeeble. Will it be your former team, the Unicorns of Love, or will it be H2K? Have you played against either? Which do you think is stronger?
I don't know. I feel like playing against UL is always so difficult because they're so good at team
and your
fighting.
heart hurts.
Yeah, it's like love hurts when I face them. No, but seriously, they're like really, really tough opponent. They play really, really good around these team fights, these engages. I feel like if you have Filisang on a more supportive champion, like a Braum or something, it feels already more easily to play against them because they don't pull the trigger that fast. So I would say they should go for a really aggressive composition.
Yeah. Can we get a quick round of predictions? H2K UOL, Stress, you're casting it, so I won't be able to ask you.
Oh, no, I'll be right here on the Analyst series. It'll be great. You can ask me again tomorrow. I'll tell you 2-1 Unicorns today. I might have changed my prediction tomorrow. Who knows?
Power.
I'm obviously for Unicorns of Love. I think it's going to be a close series, and Splice against Mysterious Monkeys. It's actually funny because I remember the times as well when I watched China series Senkox against Coscu. So I think that's going to be fun. But I'll cheer for Coscu since he was in my Masters Academy team, and I played against him a lot.
So many liaisons. You got to be more ruthless, man. It's a competition.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, for my prediction, I'm going to go with H2K. I think they have been looking strong. So 2-1 H2K, it's going to be a close series for sure. UL showed some uncharacteristic mistakes in game 2 versus the Monkeys, so I think that's what H2K is going to have to abuse.
All right, we'll see what happens. I'd also like to thank you, actually, Henning, for being on the analysis, because you're not going to be with us tomorrow. So how was it? What was the TLDR? Was I awesome? Yeah, all right. So, I'm kidding.
It was,
no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first day with Quickshot as the host. I think that was really enjoyable. Other than that, it was super energetic, but tomorrow I'm going back home to Sweden.
Yeah.
You're going to settle in just fine with lines like that.
Yeah, thank you guys all for joining me today, Power.
Don't ask me.
Yeah, I was just going to thank you. Okay, how was it, Power?
Yeah, it was really great. Felt good.
Stress, how was it for you? Oh my God.
It's me, it's okay.
Right, all right. And you guys, how was it? Okay, right. Time for us to log off for tonight. Thank you guys very much for watching. Indeed, we will be back tomorrow for a great ending of an action-filled week already, so see you there.
We are to get onto the Summoner's Rift It's Misfits Gaming taking on Rocket. It's the rabbit versus the cat. They're going to jump back in. Oh, and there's the Ignite as well. Onto Ignite. He's going to get chased away. Exhaust Juice. They flash in. It's first blood. Alfari has to flash the wall. PoE not in the best of spots anymore. As Faxi chases him away. Stalker jumps forward with Did with the flash static field. Betsy will get taken out as well. Power of Evil trying to do what he can. Is Stalker going to go for the hero play? 2,000 HP on the bounty. Jumps in. He's dead. Maxwell jumps forward. There's the stretch and strike. Crossing back. Betsy pulled a long way back. He's going to be the first blood. PoE fighting up towards the bottom side. Will be able to get the kill onto Stalker. Just needs a little bit more damage. Stalker cannot turn it around. Rocket looking down the barrel of a reverse sweep. Once again, it happened against G2. And Misfits are going to do it once again. They're going to take the Nexus. They're going to take the series. And they're going to take the win against Rocket.
Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, game one. NiP going head-to-head with G2. Will they find their first